Hey everyone, welcome back. I bet a lot of you use tools like Google Translate or have seen those smart replies in email.
Yeah, it seems like everyone's using them these days.
Never wonder how that all works.
Well, buckle up
Without that
because
AI magic.
today we are going deep on the research paper that is basically the bedrock of it all. Attention is all you need.
Um, this 2017 paper,
Kind of a legend.
yeah,
Introduced the transformer. It's this neural network that honestly has changed how we think about computers understanding language.
I feel like everyone's talking about transformers now.
Yeah,
Like I hear that word everywhere.
it's everywhere.
It is.
And the best part is this isn't just some techie deep dive for, people in the field.
Yeah.
The stuff in this paper is probably impacting how you use the internet every day.
Okay, so the title's catchy, but how do we even begin to unpack something this groundbreaking?
Yeah, well, the paper goes right at a big problem with how computers use data to process language. Imagine trying to read a book one word at a time and never getting the full picture.
Mhm.
That's basically what older models did using something called recurrence. And it was super slow and limited. So this paper said, what if the computer could see the whole sentence at once?
Okay, I'm intrigued. How do they make the computer do that?
Well, that is where attention comes in. It's the heart of this whole paper.
Okay.
Basically, instead of going word by word, attention lets the computer focus on all parts of the text, 8T1C, and then figure out which parts are most important and relevant to each other.
So it's less like a dictionary and more like how we actually read, looking for connections and context.
You got it. And they took it even further with multi-head attention. Think of it like having multiple experts reading the same text, right?
Yeah.
One might be focusing on the grammar, another on the emotional tone. All combined, they give this much, much richer understanding.
So it's like a team of super readers, each with their own specialty, all working together to understand this text.
Exactly.
Wild. So this all sounds great in theory, but how does this actually how does this translate into results?
Okay, so they put their transformer to the test using machine translation. Think Google Translate.
Okay.
And the results were mind-blowing.
Really?
Yeah, we're not talking about a small improvement. They smashed previous records for speed and D accuracy.
Wow, that's impressive.
Oh, yeah.
So not only did it work, but it worked better than everything before it and faster too.
Yeah.
I'm starting to see why everyone is so excited about this.
Oh, yeah. And that speed is a big deal because transformers don't need to go word by word. They can be trained way faster,
Right.
which means you need less computer power, makes AI development more accessible, potentially even cheaper, too.
So we're talking better results, faster development. Already sounds like a win.
Right.
But I think you mentioned earlier that transformers might be able to go beyond just text.
Oh, yeah.
What else could they do with this superpower?
Well, in the paper, they suggest that transformers could even be able to handle images or music or even scientific data.
Okay, before my brain explodes with all the possibilities,
Yeah.
let's get back to the nuts and bolts of the transformer.
Okay.
How did they actually build this thing and how did they test it?
Yeah, well, there were a lot of details that they really had to tweak and work on. Like, they really had to experiment with the number of those attention heads to find that sweet spot so that it could grasp all those nuances but not get bogged down.
So like finding the right number of cooks in the kitchen, too few and you're missing flavors, too many and it's chaos.
Exactly. And they also played around with how strongly the model focuses on each word using these things called attention keys. Because if you focus too much on some words, then you can miss the overall meaning, but too little and everything gets jumbled up.
Yeah, finding that balance is key.
hmm
But I bet training a model this complex must take ages.
Actually, that's another amazing part. They use this technique called dropout, which basically prevents the model from getting too comfortable with the training data. It's like when you study for a test, you don't just want to memorize the answers. You want to really understand the concept so you can handle any question, right?
Right, yeah.
So dropout makes sure the transformer can generalize to new text it's never seen before.
Ah, that's brilliant.
Yeah, and they even use this trick called label smoothing to make the model a little less cocky in its predictions.
Okay.
It seems counterintuitive, but by making the model a little less sure of itself, it actually learns to be more accurate in the long run. Like teaching it to double check its work before shouting at the answer.
Okay, that's fascinating. It's almost like they're teaching the AI to be more thoughtful and not just spitting out the first thing that comes to mind.
Yeah.
But one thing that I'm curious about, if the model isn't reading word by word, how does it know the order of the words in a sentence? Because that seems crucial for understanding, right?
Oh, absolutely. And they came up with a very clever solution for that called positional encoding. So they basically add these special signals to each word, kind of like a timestamp. So the model knows where each word fits in the sentence.
Okay, so even though it's seeing everything at once, it still has a sense of time and sequence, like how we experience the sentence unfolding.
That is exactly right. And they really went all out experimenting with different types of positional encoding to find what works best, which shows how much they thought about all those little nuances of language and how to really capture that in the model.
Wow. It's incredible how much detail went into building this thing.
Yeah.
But I think what's really important to remember is this paper wasn't just about the technical wizardry.
Right.
It was about challenging those assumptions about how AI should work.
You hit the nail on the head. The big takeaway is that AI doesn't have to think like a computer program, step by step.
Right, right.
Humans jump around, we make connections, we see patterns, and this paper basically says AI can do that too.
So it's not about mimicking how we think, but finding new ways for AI to process information, maybe even more efficient ways, and getting inspiration from how our brains work.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why this paper is so revolutionary. It's not just a new model, it's about opening up these whole new frontiers in AI, asking what else is possible. And you know what? This is really just the beginning of the story.
Okay, now I'm really on the edge of my seat.
Yeah.
Where do we go from here? What kind of impact has this paper had on the AI landscape?
Oh, get ready for this because the ripples from attention is all you need are everywhere.
No way.
We're talking Google Translate, those smart email replies, even that predictive text, like when it knows what word you're going to type next.
Yeah.
Transformers
They're just behind it all.
at their core.
Wow. So this isn't just some abstract research paper. It's powering the tools I use every day.
Oh, yeah. We're just getting started. Think about it. If you've used like a large language model recently, you've probably interacted with a transformer without even realizing it.
Okay, now you have to elaborate. Give me some specifics. What are we talking about here?
Well, for starters, Google Translate has gotten shockingly good in the past few years. Remember those like clunky, almost funny translations from a while back?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Transformers are a big reason why things are so much smoother now.
Now that you mention it, Google Translate has become like my go-to for quick checks.
Yeah.
It's so much better at capturing the nuance of what I'm trying to say. Who knew it was Transformers all along?
Yep. They're the engine behind those more natural sounding translations. And it's not just Google Translate. Those smart replies in email,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
the ones that almost magically suggest how to respond,
Yeah, yeah.
Transformers again,
Will.
pulling the strings.
No way. I use those. I actually find myself using those more and more. They're getting so good at predicting what I want to say. Is there anything these things can't do?
Oh, and don't forget about predictive text. When it seems to know what word you're going to type before you finish typing it.
Oh, yeah.
Transformers. They're quietly changing how we interact with language online in like so many ways.
It's wild. It's like they're becoming this invisible force behind all these tools we take for granted now.
Yeah.
But it sounds like Transformers are reaching far beyond these everyday applications too, right? What about the really complex stuff? What's happening there?
Oh, you're right. This isn't just about like convenience and stuff.
Yeah.
Transformers are being used to tackle some really challenging problems in fields like medicine or scientific research, even climate modeling.
Now we're talking. This is the kind of stuff that really gets me excited about the potential of AI. Give me the rundown. What are they doing in these fields?
Well, in medicine, researchers are using transformers to analyze medical images.
Okay.
Imagine helping doctors diagnose conditions way earlier or predict patient outcomes with more accuracy. They're even being used in drug discovery, trying to find new treatments for diseases.
So they're not just processing language anymore. They're actually making sense of images and like complex data sets.
Exactly. And in scientific research, they're being used to understand things like protein holding, which is crucial for developing new drugs.
Okay.
They're also helping scientists analyze huge amounts of astronomical data, trying to unravel the mysteries of the universe.
It's almost like they're giving scientists like superpowers, allowing them to tackle these problems that were previously impossible to solve.
Yeah, I like that. That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And in climate modeling, they're being used to analyze, massive data sets of climate information, which could really help us better understand and predict climate change.
Wow. So they're not just changing how we interact with technology. They're potentially changing how we understand the world around us and tackle some of humanity's biggest challenges.
It's pretty mind-blowing when you think about it. And remember, all of this comes from the fundamental ideas laid out in that 2017 research paper. It's amazing what a truly groundbreaking idea can do.
It really is. But I think it's important to remember that it's not just about the idea itself.
Yes.
It's about the people who took that idea and ran with it,
Yeah.
pushing those boundaries.
Absolutely. The authors of the paper, they deserve a ton of credit, but so do all the researchers and developers who have been, building on their work ever since, refining the architecture, finding new applications, and just making it more accessible for everyone.
It's a beautiful example of how scientific progress builds upon itself with each breakthrough inspiring, new discoveries and innovation. So I'm wondering, where is this all heading? What's next for Transformers? What are the things that have you excited about the future of this technology?
Well, one area that I'm really excited about is making Transformers even more efficient.
Okay.
Remember we talked about how much faster they are to train compared to older models?
Yeah.
But researchers are constantly working on making them, even leaner and meaner,
Right.
using less computer power but getting even better results.
So it's like we're on this quest for the ultimate AI efficiency engine.
Exactly.
Like squeeze out every drop of performance without needing a supercomputer.
You got it. And this is crucial because as these models get, more complex and more powerful, they need more data, they need more computing resources.
Yeah.
So making them more efficient is key to unlocking their full potential. But that's not all. Another area that's really creating a lot of buzz is the development of what they call sparse transformers.
Okay, I have to admit I'm drawing a blank on that one. Sparse transformers. What does that even mean?
Imagine you're at a party and everyone is trying to have a conversation with everyone else at the same time.
Oh, wow.
It would be overwhelming, right?
Yeah.
Well, in a traditional transformer, every word in a sentence is basically paying attention to every other word. It works okay for, shorter sentences, but as those sentences get longer, the number of connections just explodes.
Yeah, I can see how that would get computationally expensive and probably inefficient too.
Yeah.
It's like trying to drink from a fire hose.
That's a great way to put it. So these sparse transformers, they're designed to be more selective about which words they pay attention to. Instead of connecting every word to every other word, they focus on the relationships that really matter, the ones that carry the most meaning.
Okay, so they're becoming more discerning, like in their attention, more focused on the signal and less distracted by the noise.
Exactly. And this not only makes them more efficient, but also potentially more accurate. By not wasting time and energy on irrelevant connections, they can zero in on that core meaning.
So they're getting smarter, not just faster. I bet this opens up a whole new world of possibilities for what they can handle, right?
Absolutely. With sparse transformers, we can potentially train them on much longer pieces of text, even, entire books or documents. Imagine the insights we could gain from having AI models that can understand and synthesize information from entire books.
That's a game changer.
It is. It's a game changer.
I have to say, I'm starting to get a little bit of that future shock feeling.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredible, but also a bit intimidating to think about how quickly AI is advancing.
Yeah, I understand that feeling. But it's important to remember that ultimately AI is a tool. And like any tool, it can be used for good or for ill.
It all comes down to how we choose to use it and those ethical considerations we take into account, which makes me think we've talked a lot about the technical details and the amazing things that Transformers can do.
Right.
But what about the bigger picture? What does this mean for us, for society, for the future? What are the questions we need to be asking ourselves?
That's what I love about these deep dives. We're not just, learning about the technology itself, but also exploring the implications and what it all means for humanity. And trust me, there are a lot of thought-provoking questions to unpack.
Well, let's take a moment to catch our breath and then dive into those deeper questions.
Yeah.
Because honestly, my mind is still reeling from all the amazing things we've learned about attention is all you need.
I hear ya. We've covered a lot of ground, but we're not done yet. When we come back, we'll explore the implications of this revolutionary paper for the future of AI and humanity.
All right, so we're back, and I'm honestly still trying to wrap my head around the sheer scale of what transformers are capable of.
Yeah.
It's like we've opened this Pandora's box of AI possibilities.
It really is remarkable. And I think one of the most fascinating things is how it challenges our assumptions about what AI is and what it can even do. We tend to think of AI as very logical and, rule-based, but transformers show us something different, something that feels, more intuitive, almost human-like
Yeah.
in how it understands the world.
It's like they're not just processing data, they're actually grasping the meaning, like the nuance, even the intent behind it.
Yeah.
Which leads to a pretty mind-blowing question.
Yeah.
If AI can understand information in a more human-like way,
Yeah.
does that mean it can also be creative?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
people have been debating this for decades.
Right.
But with Transformers, it feels like we're actually getting closer to an answer. I mean, think
Yeah.
about it. We're already seeing them being used to generate different creative text formats like poems, code, even musical compositions.
Yeah, I've seen some of those AI-generated pieces, and it's
Mhm.
it's honestly pretty wild.
Yeah.
Like some of it is still a bit rough around the edges, but there are these moments where it's hard to believe that a human wasn't involved.
Yeah, and what's even more fascinating is that they're not just mimicking existing creative work.
Right. They're actually coming up with new ideas, new ways of expressing themselves. It's not just regurgitation, it's genuine creation.
Yeah, that's what's so intriguing. They're taking what they've learned and using it to create something entirely new. It really does feel like this new form of creativity is emerging.
It really does, and the implications of that are huge. Imagine a world where AI can collaborate with artists and writers and musicians and just push the boundaries of creative expression in ways that we can't even imagine.
It's an exciting thought, but it also brings up some pretty big questions about AI's role in society, especially when it comes to like the future of work. If AI can be creative, what happens to, to human artists and creators? Do they become obsolete? Or does AI become a tool that can actually enhance their abilities?
Those are really important questions to think about, and it's important to remember that AI isn't inherently good or bad. It's a tool.
Right.
And like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it all comes back to those human choices and how we decide to use this technology. And the ethical considerations, they just become even more important as AI becomes more sophisticated and more integrated into our lives.
Absolutely. This paper, Attention is All You Need, it's a powerful reminder that AI is not some distant, futuristic thing.
Yeah.
It's already here. It's shaping the world in ways we're only beginning to understand.
And it's evolving at this crazy pace, which is why these conversations are so important.
Yeah.
To think critically about the potential benefits and risks of AI and make sure it's used in a way that benefits, all of humanity.
Yeah. That's what we're all about here on The Deep Dive, keeping you informed
Mhm.
about those latest advancements in AI while also exploring those ethical considerations, those societal implications.
Yeah.
So you can be an informed and engaged citizen in this rapidly changing world.
Because at the end of the day, AI isn't just about technology, it's about people. It's about understanding ourselves better and using that knowledge to create a more just and equitable future for everyone.
Well said. And on that note, I want to thank you all for joining us on this incredible deep dive into Attention is All You Need. It's been an amazing journey exploring this groundbreaking paper and just its impact on the world.
And we encourage you to keep the conversation going. Share your thoughts, your questions, your aha moments. We're all in this together, learning and growing as AI continues to shape the world.
Until next time, keep diving deep, keep asking those big questions, and we'll see you soon for another fascinating exploration.